Independent School District meeting to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, and this meeting has been duly called. And notice this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Time is now 6 o'clock. To extend a welcome to everyone present, I ask that you please turn off the sound on your electronic devices and stand for the pledges. We have the American flag. The pledge will be by Jane Long Intermediate, and Texas flag by Sam Rayburn Intermediate.
And any of you parents can come up and get closer if you want. And then you can sit if you want, or
yeah, we got lots of room.
but come on, you're welcome to get wherever you need to for good pictures.
It's behind the door.
Okay, so I'm going to let each one of them, Michael Gibson, Principal at Jane Long, I'm going to let each one of them introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
I'm Nora and I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Scarlett and I'm also in 6th grade.
My name is Thomas and I'm also in 6th grade.
My name is Gabriel and I am also in 6th grade. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Becky Ryberg. I'm the principal at Rayburn, and we have some of our student ambassador representatives helping us tonight. They're going to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Wakefield and I'm in 6th grade.
Hi, I am Jay Sean Kennard and I am 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Aspen Green and I'm in 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Aliana Valadez and I am in 6th grade.
Hi, I am Rue Ryberg and I am 5th grade.
Hi, my name's Brady Swordman and I'm 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Charlie Van Eam and I'm in 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Jaden Brewer and I'm in 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Ellen Bryan and I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Brody Sears and I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Jackson Limmer and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Lisa Dew and I'm in 5th grade. Would you please turn to the Texas flag? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank y'all.
Yay.
All right, next we have Spotlight, the auxiliary employee of the month, and this person will be introduced by Rick Scott, custodial supervisor. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rick Scott, over the custodial department. And Custodial Services is proud to recognize Maria Zamora as the August 2025 Auxiliary Employee of the Month. Maria has worked for Bryan ISD School District for just under 1 year. In January, Maria took on a challenging responsibility as the head custodian here at the Bryan ISD Administration Building. Maria consistently exceeds expectations by keeping the Bryan ISD Administration Building clean and healthy. Although she's primarily responsible for the cleaning and disinfecting of the Bryan ISD Administration Building, she has provided custodial support for other campuses as well throughout the district when needed. She has a strong work ethic and a keen attention to detail when it comes to ensuring her job is done correctly. Maria Zamora's outstanding work ethic and attention to detail have demonstrated that she maintains the Bryan ISD Administration Building in an exemplary manner. Maria, thank you for ensuring the high level of cleanliness of Bryan ISD. Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, the next item on our agenda is the opportunity for public comment. We do have one person who would like to speak on an agenda item, Wiley Tarver. Please come forward, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And I'll let you know if we're running out of time, but thank you for being here.
Thank you. My name is Wiley Tarver. I'm a resident here from Bryan, Texas. My wife and I both went to Bryan High, went through Bryan schools. Both my daughters did. Little more history. I've served on different boards throughout the district, committees. My wife taught here for 29 years, 35 years in all. She retired last summer. She's not missing it yet, but she misses the camaraderie, but not all the day-to-day. But that's neither here nor there. I want to come to thank a couple of groups for their work this summer. First of all, the steering committee for the bonds, Dr. Merrill and his group. I've been here to watch them report on those findings and how much work and time and blood and sweat and tears went into that. I know that was not some easy decisions to be made because they had a limited number they were working with. And I know, having served on committees myself, that's not an easy job. And I commend them on a job well done for that. And I appreciate them for that. Also, the board here for standing up for our students all the time. I heard Ms. Benford the other day at the convocation. I think she hit the nail on the head. You know, these kids come from various backgrounds, and sometimes the only good thing that happens to them is that day when they're in school. So I want to commend the board for going that extra effort to push making our children first. I would like to propose a change to that. Instead of just children first, maybe in parentheses put children, future leaders first. And the reason I say that is that's what we're investing our time and money in, like Ms. Benford said. It's frustrating that we have to make decisions, and I hate to say this, but it's the board has been hamstrung because of what our legislators have done the last couple of years. They really, like y'all have stated, not give you money where you can kind of put that, the money that's been given you, even though it's $8.5 billion or whatever, it's dedicated money. And I want to make sure that the voters know and that the citizens know, like myself, that we know that that's not what Bryan ISD needed. And over I tell people in the legislators that I called that when I have a school budget with a negative $6 million and our College Station School District's over $2 million, that is not adequate funding at all. So I encourage y'all to keep fighting the battle. I know it's hard, but keep fighting the battle every day for our teachers, our staff, and our students. We need y'all there. And I've seen at the big colleges right now, they're cutting sports because of financial constraints. I do not want that come to Bryan ISD and say, hey, y'all got to cut programs more than we already have in schools. I don't want to cut football, band, choir, whatever. I don't want it to come to that. And I know y'all don't, and that's the farthest thing from your mind. But I'm tired of the state not giving us the funding we need. So keep the fight going, and I appreciate all y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't get to clap for Wiley.
For future reference, I just want to say that citizens may always at meetings make comments about topics relevant to district business. And as I said earlier, you know, they're limited to 3 minutes. So. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. You did have some seconds left, so yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got now board member reports, well, also the superintendent report. So we'll start with that. Ms. Carabine?
Thank you, Mr. Stasny. I can't believe it, but school is back in session, probably the fastest summer on record, but it's all good. I've talked to kids, actually all the ones tonight to do the pledge, and every single one of them said they were happy to be back at school, back in their routines, back to see their friends. And with that, as we start my presentation tonight, The first day was wonderful. We welcomed back almost 16,000 students. We're still settling in, and we had record turnout when it comes to families participating in the Meet the Teacher, the scheduled pickup, the walk the building, et cetera. So I can tell that's indicative of our family and community engagement. So again, we're off to a great start. And speaking of a great start, our convocation this year was fantastic. The theme was "You Make the Difference." We are so grateful for our generous volunteers when it came to the donation of $17,000 from Hector and Olivia Badillo. Every person stood in unity that day wearing their matching T-shirts. And we also, debuted the letter writing campaign that we had launched on social media. We declared that day that we received over 100 letters thanking different staff members throughout the district. So we debuted some of them at the convocation. Today we launched another round of them. So it's just an incredible theme throughout the year, again, reminding everyone that they make the difference. But the real showstopper was Miss Felicia Benford. Thank you for stepping in that day as basically our keynote speaker representing our Board of Trustees. Your message was powerful. Every employee left feeling inspired and motivated to serve and support our students to ensure that they have the best year yet. So I think with that, you're hired to be a keynote from now on at every single meeting. It truly was the message that everyone deserved to hear that day. That night, we launched the year again with a bang with the community pep rally. We had over 1,000 people in attendance. This night was again the epitome of family and community engagement. We had students turn out in record numbers, their families, we had staff members, we had community members, including elected officials. I believe I saw Mayor Bobby Gutierrez, council members Jared Salvato, James Edge, Paul Torres, and others just standing again as a show of support and unity with us, sending a message that this is going to be a great year for all of our students and our entire school community in Bryan ISD. So we're very, very thankful for the turnout and the generous donation from TNT Security. They sponsored the fireworks. So there's nothing better, again, than starting the year with a bang. And in conclusion, keeping with the momentum of just incredible family and community engagement, on Saturday night, we had our 3rd annual hometown reunion sponsored by the Bryan ISD Education Foundation. And just when we think it can't get any better, they top what they've done last year. So again, a record turnout of people. We had staff members, we had community, families, when we say reunion, it was a reunion. Lots of people that graduated from schools in Bryan ISD, and I heard all throughout the night, for some people it was their first time ever, and they promised me that they would be back. And then we have people that have been there all for 3 years. So we're just very, very grateful to the Education Foundation for their support, the financial support in particular, but you cannot put a price tag on what happened that night as we looked out and saw over 900 people celebrating and supporting and standing in unity for our school district, Bryan ISD. So we're very, very grateful. And that's my report for tonight. Thank you, Mr. Stasny.
Thank you, Ms. Carabine. Our next report, Finance Committee, and Mr. Stennis is going to present that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Stasny. So on August 14th, the Finance Committee met via Zoom. Board members present were Mr. Stasny, myself, and Mr. Leo Gonzalez. Staff members present were Ginger Carabine, Brian Merrill, Barbara Ibarra, and Norma Friddle. Topics that were discussed, Ms. Friddle touched on some information from the Chief Appraiser regarding local property values and disputes surrounding those. The sound system, for those that were present at the community pep rally, I think we figured out that maybe the sound system at Merrill Green Stadium is on its last leg. And so that was a topic of conversation of the appropriate funding source to potentially look at replacing that. Obviously, reliability, effectiveness, and the value to support all the future events that will be held at the district stadium. Mr. Merrill and Mrs. Friddle, also the attorney Robert Dansfield, joined the call. He provided information related to the financial decisions, the order for calling on a bond election, and the required language for the 3 propositions that we're anticipating coming up in the bond. We also discussed, Ms. Friddle and Mr. Merrill also discussed the request to purchase 3 additional buses using the Transportation Internal Service Fund. That's going to be on the agenda this evening for the board's consideration. Safety mandates were also a topic of discussion. Required equipment for campuses, cost, and of course the funding sources for those. This is also an agenda that will be our agenda item that will be on the board for consideration. And then also we finished with an overview and timeline of benefits and district information meetings will be shared with the Board of Trustees during this meeting as well. So that's it for the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Good report. Next on the list is information items, 8A, State Accountability Update. Dr. Ibarra.
Thank you, Mr. Stasny. So I'm back to give us another update on accountability, and we've been here several times over the past few years, providing some context with all of the changes from the state of Texas regarding assessment and accountability. But it's been a pretty busy week in that area, so I thought I'd come back and go down memory lane with you just briefly for a little bit and share the good news of the progress in the district. So if you'll walk back in the time machine with me, everything in blue there represents STAR 1.0, the first version of the STAR assessment, which began back years ago, and the A through F system, which began in 2017-18. We are now on what we call STAR 2.0 and the new revised accountability system. And if you remember, we've used this example a few times that typically and historically, whenever the state of Texas does a fundamental change to the assessment or to the calculations for school ratings, they change both the name of the assessment and also the nomenclature that goes with the rating system, exemplary, recognized, met standard, whatever it may be. In this situation, that did not happen. And that's part of why there's some confusion with it. So it's STAR and it's STAR. And it's A through F, and it's A through F. But it's a completely different assessment, and it's a completely different rating system in many regards. So because of that, TEA put out a statement in the spring of 2023 that we might see that campuses do better in 2023 and yet still receive a lower rating under the A through F system. In fact, they anticipated a full grade level or full grade letter lower even if you improved. So that came out from the state of Texas. And again, that's when we talk about the test was different. There's now writing across every assessment in every grade. And there's also different indicators and technology enhanced items, which honestly we think is a great idea. But it is a different mechanism and a different way of assessing student understanding. And then the accountability system, we've talked about this often. It's a 300-page document to determine the letter grade for a campus and for the district. And those indicators changed over the course of that rewrite and then even up until last year. Moving forward, 2023 and 2024 ultimately ended up in a court injunction because of all of those changes. And those ratings were held at the state level. In 24 and 25, we start to see that artificial intelligence is used in the grading of all of those written responses from students. I mean, think about the volume. Every student, every test has a written response, and certainly that is a large volume to grade statewide. You probably saw in the 89th legislature lots of discussion from our legislators about the reliability and validity of the STAR assessment. Several bills made it back through both houses, both the House and the Senate, but they weren't able to come to conclusion. But it has been revisited in the special session, and Senate Bill 8 and House Bill 8 both address abolishing the STAR assessment and moving through to a through the years assessment. Senate Bill 8 was recently passed by the Senate and is awaiting House consideration. So again, we've changed the test pretty significantly, but we still have the same ratings. So let's fast forward to April of this past year. In April of this past year, this graphic might look familiar to you. The court injunction was lifted on the 2023 data sets and ratings. So we did receive those ratings in April of 2025 for the 22-23 school year. So that's when those ratings came out, and what they predicted came to fruition. We improved in graduation rates, in college career readiness, and in almost all areas of STAR EOC, yet the district received a lower grade than in 2022, as did our campuses. And so again, that's a different assessment, different rating system, but it has all of the same names. I do want to pause here briefly, though. While we didn't have the ratings, we had what we needed to take care of our kids. We had the assessment data. We knew how students were performing. We knew where we had areas we needed to shore up in the curriculum and where we needed to help kids individually. So despite whether we get a letter or not, we have what we need to take care of our kids and move them forward. And we acted on that data in helping our students. All right, fast forward to last week. Court injunction is also lifted now for 2024, and TEA simultaneously releases the 2025 data. So in all of this, you've got 2 years in one, the way the TEA did it. We saw a number of gains coming down to the most recent ratings in 2025. And in fact, we saw 39 distinctions across our campuses. Now, those distinctions are no small feat. Each campus is compared to 40 other schools across the state of Texas that mirror their demographics and makeup. And with that, they put them in quartiles, and you have to hit so many indicators to earn that distinction. So our schools are outperforming schools just like them all across the state, and certainly proud of those 39 academic distinctions. So again, we have the assessment data we needed. We have new ratings. That 76 for the 2025 equates to essentially a B under the old system. But again, it's a different calculation and a different way to do it. But it's exactly as TEA predicted. You can improve, yet still see a lower grade. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
I would like for you to elaborate what
Certainly.
happened in the legislative session and what's happening right now in the called session.
Certainly.
So the STAR and accountability.
So the 89th legislature had talked about abolishing the STAR assessment, and honestly, they've talked about this for several years, and they want to move to a through the years assessment. By that I mean they want to do a beginning of the year, a middle of the year, and an end of the year assessment for students. So 3 assessments throughout the year that are supposedly smaller or in length and duration, but allow for a through the years kind of experience with testing. It did pass, but they weren't able to come to agreement on some of the intricacies of it, so it did not go forward, even though both parties and both houses, both the House and the Senate, voted and celebrated passing No More STAR. It's still here. And then once again, as I said, the 89th special session right now, Senate Bill 8 and House Bill 8 both propose the same thing that the last session had. It has already passed at the Senate, but we are waiting on the House, which I don't believe has a quorum at this moment.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. So it's dead in the water right now.
Dr. Bart,
Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just going to make sure, so everybody knows, 2023, 24, and 25 are all with the new system, as this
Yes,
flies
sir.
in blue. So, and I assume last year when we saw where we needed to do, kind of understood more where we need to do, because I'm really proud that we've bounced back up. I mean, that's a lot to be proud of, and congratulations to our teachers and you guys and everybody that worked to get us to make up for lost ground there with what was, I'm sure a lot of it was.
2024 was a different year, and we
Okay.
saw those dips across the state of Texas. You might have seen TEA release in June of 2024 that mathematics, in particular in grades 3 through 8, saw a marked difference than in prior years. We don't know how suddenly the entire state of Texas doesn't know how to do math, but we did, in fact, use that data to respond to student need, and we're pleased to see that performance improve this year.
Thank you, and that's what I wanted to point out, because like you said, it's
Thank
just
you.
odd that we can do, we can't possibly forget everything in 1 year, but thank you
Agreed.
for pointing that
The
out.
whole state felt that, yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Barr.
I wasn't going to read this at first because I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to.
Okay.
So Saturday's newspaper, the Eagle, printed this, but it was an AP article, or at least statewide article, talking about Dallas ISD and their feelings of the results of 2024 scores, and we feel the same way, and we've talked about it. Several district leaders across the state filed the lawsuit against Commissioner Morath, and during the 23-24 school year, the commissioner radically changed the way the new STAR test is being administered by replacing human graders with AI grading. The lawsuit stated, after the change, many district officials noticed a large number of high schoolers scored zeros on their written responses. This is part of the suit.
Yes.
Scores generally, hold on, let me back up. Scores generated this way threaten to unfairly and unlawfully lower the A through F ratings of many school districts and campuses, the lawsuit stated. A court ruled against them in July, saying the state brought forward experts who supported the validity and reliability of automated scoring in great detail. That ruling gave the education agency the go-ahead to release the 24 scores. DISD Superintendent Stephanie Elzaldi said in June that the district asked the state education agency to review a sample of STAR responses to confirm that students earned the correct score. So this was personally reviewed by people that scored zeros graded by AI. Of the 5,420 answers that DISD submitted, roughly 35% showed an improvement after they were rescored. The rescored responses caused 5 Dallas ISD schools to earn higher A through F grades compared to the district's initial projections. And Commissioner Morath said in response to that, that just showed how the system is designed to provide accurate feedback, that it was only 35%. Well, if my child was one of those 35%, and my child scored by probably a former English teacher, high school English teacher, was one of those that scored better by a person than AI, I would really have a real problem with that statement.
They also charge individually for each one you ask to be reassessed. And if you end up coming out with a higher rating, they refund you that fee. But there is a $50, I believe, I might be wrong on that one, but per student assessment and per question.
I just, anyway, that's a specific event that happened as part of the lawsuit and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
result of it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a comment of how did kids suddenly not know how to do math? So as someone who, I basically consider myself an expert in teaching and learning. I have a PhD. I've spent many, many years studying student learning and achievement. If students don't do well, that feels like an anomaly, especially when you look at last year's data. Chances are the issue isn't with the teacher and it isn't with the student. The issue is with the assessment that was used. So the fact that this assessment was never critically challenged for reliability and validity, other than in this court case, and not because that's the right thing to do when you release a new assessment, is really, I wish the taxpayers of this state would hold our Texas Education Agency accountable to our children. That's just unconscionable.
And Dr. Harlan, I couldn't agree more. The prior statute requires the Commissioner of Education to have an external third party to verify the reliability and validity of the assessment should there be any major changes. Thus the two court cases, because that was done with just some experts, because they did not change the name. So they did not go out for an external study for reliability and validity. As I understand it now, that has been removed from statute, and the commissioner can select a committee to demonstrate reliability and validity of his own choosing.
Yeah, not according to rigorous statistical analysis, I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am.
And the legislature has passed a bill that says school districts cannot sue the state of Texas for anything to do with reliability of scores and A through F rating.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
I've said this many times, that one of the things that I'm most proud of about public schools in general, and Bryan ISD in particular, is that we welcome all students regardless of their circumstances, and we will continue to do so. But one of the things that the public needs to know when they see these so-called grades is that there have been, despite attempts to try to say, well, okay, it doesn't matter what the makeup of your student body is, all kids can learn, so therefore it doesn't matter whether you're in the wealthiest district in Texas or the poorest, you're kind of subject to, for the most part, the very same rules. And yes, we want to do well regardless of who our kids are, and we want all our kids to learn, but there is, and probably always will be, a correlation between poverty and performance in school. And there are lots and lots of reasons for that. The home life of children is sometimes challenging, not the kid's fault, certainly not the teacher's fault, that things happen. Attendance can suffer, help on homework can be very difficult to obtain. All of those things factor into these so-called standardized tests, and especially when you got little kids trying to take them on a computer now, which is just kind of mind-boggling. So the reason I bring it up again is because I'm sure there's still lots of people who simply look at this grade score, this letter grade, and say, well, gee, I guess they're not a very good school district, or this school is not a very good school, or whatever, because, gee, why would the state tell us otherwise? But there has been, and that's one of the reasons that the test is now being challenged even by the legislature, is that it's slowly being recognized that you cannot assume that all students are the same, or that there's no, I mean, every child's unique. Every single one is unique. And so it's just frustrating that too many people still look at those scores and draw conclusions that are just simply not valid. So I'm going to say this one more time, and then I'll be quiet. And that's that I know what we're doing in this district, and I know we're working very hard, and I know that it's frustrating to every teacher who has a student who is having difficulty mastering what he or she needs to master, and the effort is there. Sometimes they go way above and beyond what any teacher should be expected to do in terms of being social workers, and so I want everybody to, as many people that hear this or see this, to know that, because we are very proud of what we're doing. And no, we're not thrilled with a C, but I don't think we deserve a C.
And under the older system, it'd be a B.
I think they should be the one to get the C, not us. If you look at it, all children do learn different, and every school district has children that are not going to learn at the same rate or at the same pace or in the same way.
Same manner.
But if they had a test that would test what the child actually knows and not try to put a test on the child that they know they're going to have difficulty with, then shame on them. But the C doesn't belong to us. The C belongs to them, because they don't have enough sense to see that they're only hurting children and they're not making it fair. The playing field is not fair whatsoever. And so until they realize that, until children become important to them, we're going to have that problem. And the things that they're doing and the decisions that they're making, that's what they're clearly stating.
Thank you.
May I say one more thing, and I'll be quiet, I promise. I just want to say, piggybacking on Felicia's, we look at this, and I think we've done a good job, and I know we've discussed this before, of not trying to shift the blame, and it's not our fault. But, I would hear a lot of the board say that before, well, the cards are stacked against us. And when you're not here and you don't see everything that's going on, sometimes it does seem like we're trying to blame somebody else for shortcomings. But being here, being on the board, I have seen that really it is not a fair battle. And I commend everyone here, all of you, all of our admin, staff, teachers, like y'all said, for everything you have done to try to even the playing field, because it really is stacked against us. That is not an opinion. I mean, I really just, if you look at it just
TEA even said it.
unobjectively.
You can do better, but we're going to give you
Yes,
a lower
ma'am.
grade. So
Good point.
they
So
came right out and said it.
I just always want to remind everyone that we're not trying to put the blame elsewhere. We're simply doing the best that we can, and y'all done a great job trying to make up for where they've left us. So thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Move on to the next item, which is an overview of the process and timelines related to informational sessions for health insurance benefits. And I believe that Norma Friddle, our Chief Financial Officer, will present. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, and Superintendent Carabine. This evening, I'm here to provide an overview of the process and timeline for health insurance and other employee benefits. There are no items up for approval tonight. This is simply an overview of some information. The purpose of this presentation is to walk you through the key steps of the benefits process from planning to open enrollment and ultimately to the start of the new plan year. My goal is to give you a clear picture of what happens at each stage along the way. And in addition, I'll highlight the series of informational meetings that will begin next month. These meetings are designed to help keep employees informed as we move through the process. So here we are, August the 18th. We are here to review the timeline and share some general information. September 8th, at our next board meeting, we will share some proposed plans along with potential changes for the 2026 plan year. And as always, we look forward to the board's input and feedback before taking any steps. At that same meeting, we will also review some financial scenarios, we'll look at some employee utilization trends, and we'll also look at some other key factors that influence the overall medical plan program. No action will be taken at this meeting. On September 22nd, we will present the proposed changes for all the plans scheduled for renewal in the 2026 plan year for board consideration and approval. And then moving on to October 1st, the open enrollment timeline will be shared with staff, and throughout the month, informational meetings will be occurring. At these meetings, we'll focus on educating employees about what it means to be part of a self-funded health plan. We will walk through the details of the new plan coverages and highlight the benefits of our employee health center so that staff understand how affordable and how accessible it truly is. We will also explain the differences between the freestanding emergency rooms and urgent care centers, helping employees make the best choices for their health care. In addition, we will review workers' compensation along with other important updates and benefits to ensure employees have a clear and understanding of all of the resources available to them. November 3rd, open enrollment begins. The open enrollment period is a specific window of time, usually once a year, when employees are allowed to enroll in health, dental, vision, or other benefits. They can make changes to their existing coverage. They can decline or drop coverages if they no longer wish to participate. November 21st, open enrollment ends. And then in December, this typically is the month when all of the administrative updates are being made. During this time, the benefits team processes all the employee elections and ensures that all their selections and changes are entered accurately into the system so they are active and ready to take effect when the new plan year begins January 1st, 2026. As I mentioned earlier, we will be conducting an informational roadshow to share the key factors that impact the school district's fund balance. A major focus of these sessions will be educating our employees about what it means to be self-funded. By understanding how the plan works, employees are better equipped to make informed decisions when selecting their medical providers. For example, one of the topics we'll cover is the use of freestanding emergency rooms. In our informational sessions, we will explain to staff that seeking care at these facilities for non-emergent cases is extremely costly to the district. Because we are self-funded, those costs ultimately affect every single employee. And ultimately, our goal is to support the health and well-being of all employees by educating them on how to use the right care for the right circumstances. Because we understand that life doesn't just happen Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Making the right healthcare choices not only supports our employees' health, but also the district's financial health. Once again, nothing is up for approval this evening. Tonight's presentation is simply intended to provide a high-level overview of the benefit plan renewal timeline. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Mr. Stasny, if I may, I just want to ask, I think we talked a little bit about making it mandatory. So I think a lot of times this information has fallen through the cracks, and a lot of our educators have not been privy to it. And the ones that I've talked to were really shocked when I explained to them the difference from the private ERs and such. So are we making a very, very concerted effort to make sure everyone actually gets this information?
Yes,
this
sir.
year?
We absolutely are. We are going on an informational roadshow to make sure that all of our employees understand all of those differences between freestanding ERs, urgent care centers, how that affects the pocketbook, how that affects the district's ability, to give raises and everything else that goes along with that.
And I think Ms. Waller brought it up last time and said, we just want to make sure that they understand it's not optional, it's mandatory.
That is
So I
correct.
think that was a really good suggestion on her part. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll add to that. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Yes, it's mandatory, and we have a plan scheduled for all campuses and all departments, and several of us will be on what we're calling the road show. And we're prepared to have very specific examples for some of us who have some lessons learned from mistakes we've made. So thank you for the board's support, because we're all in this together with the self-insured insurance plan.
Yes, thank you very much.
The reason it's mandatory, I mean, speaking from thinking within, I used to think, okay, I know this, I know my insurance, I know the different plans, click, and I just re-clicked every year, depending on how many children I had at the time. And so we need to make it mandatory because this year things are so different.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wouldn't say that teachers certainly don't need another meeting, but this is a whole different ballgame now. And so it's very important because for a lot of them, they could be on a plan that they need that's less expensive, like what Ms. Carabine was talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
She found that out with her own example. And so we want everyone to know what we offer, what's kind of best monetary for the district, but the main thing is for every one of our employees to be on the best plan so they get the best for their family and themselves for their benefits that they're paying.
Yes, ma'am. That's actually a very, very good point. Making these types of selections is a very personal choice, and as you've stated, we do want to educate, and part of the roadshow, the informational roadshow, as we call it, is we want to be educating our staff so that they truly are knowing what they're choosing for themselves and their families, so that way they can stay in good health, and it's all a part of it. That's a good point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Next item is the consent agenda. Several items here. Hope everybody's had a chance to look them over. The board may remove any item from the consent agenda if the member chooses to do so, so that it can be discussed individually and voted on individually.
I move approval of all the items listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Dr. Harlan and seconded by Ms. Benford. It's Harlan Wolf, isn't it? I'll get it right one of these days. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Pass unanimously. And then now we're in number 10, action items. Consider approval of closeout of Phase 2 construction for Sadbury Intermediate School. And we have Dr. Merrill and Mr. Mr. Bobby Griffin, I think, are both coming up.
Yes, sir. We appreciate the opportunity to come and close out these two projects, hopefully. Mr. Griffin's been working with both architects as well as the campus and finishing up the punch list and making sure that everything gets done. And again, we've talked with our bond oversight committee. We're very excited that that's been an active participant in this process. And this goes all the way back to our 2020 bond with $175 million, and there was promises made and promises kept. And so we're very excited to see these projects come to fruition and just close them out. And so 10A is consider approval for the closeout of Phase 2, construction of Sadberry Intermediate School. I'd like to just offer up my appreciation to Mr. Griffin for coming on board a few months ago and really making sure that we crossed this finish line and finishing it up. And so it's been a wonderful process for us. And I appreciate the accountability that he's brought to to the district, to be completely honest.
Is it true that he was personally responsible for the $1.4 million savings? That's what I heard.
That's what you heard. I will not refute it. But we are very proud of the savings that we're bringing back from both of these projects. And obviously they're listed in the line items. And so thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Gonzalez. Would you like to say anything, Mr. Griffin? Okay. Any questions?
That is a huge relief and plus that we were able to have that. And so that's, we got another bond to talk about this evening, and that's kind of something to remember is that whatever we talk about in terms of things, we don't know what the final is going to be until it's done. So we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we're cost effective and efficient, and looks like we did a good job on this one.
Yes,
so
1.439 million back is pretty good.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
I've seen deducted, for 50,000, but it's not often you see 1.4 million. So
That's why I give Mr. Griffin all the credit. But I was going to say the same thing. As we can looking at a new bond, that this is proof that we don't always. Our goal is not to spend what has been allotted. We're going to, we've got to work on if it's passed.
Yes, sir. And then anytime we have any savings, which we are very thankful for, we have the bond oversight committee that was established under Ms. Carabine that really helps us determine where any additional money goes. And so we're very appreciative of their work, and we meet quarterly, and we met just a few weeks ago with them.
Mr. Stasny, I move approval of the final payment in the amount of $77,241 to Dramala Construction and a deductive change order in the amount of $1,439,147 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez and seconded by Ms. Benford. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. No trouble passing that one. All right, next one is Ruby Halliburton Auxiliary Complex.
It's the same thing. We're asking for consideration for approval of the closeout of the Ruby Halliburton Auxiliary Complex. And again, bond savings of a little over $2 million. Again, Mr. Griffin's come on board, and really one of the first projects that we did was walk around. And I was, again, very thankful to look at the buildings, for him to point things out, and for us to talk to those, the architects as well as the contractors about additional items that needed to be cleaned up. And so that was an enlightening conversation, and it was fun to go back out there a couple of weeks later and to see everything just taken care of. So we appreciate the work of not only Mr. Griffin, but also our maintenance department and their work really with those items as well. So those contractors were, again, accountability is a big thing for us, and we want to make sure that what we've asked them to do, that they're following through with, and that they're actually going to give us what we paid for. And so again, we're bringing savings back to the district of a little over $2 million. Mr. Griffin, he was waiting to take credit for this one.
I think he should work on, Mr. Griffin, let's talk about it, working on commission, because I think you earned it.
Yeah. All right, I'll consider a motion.
I move approval of the final payment in the amount of $470,339.39.
Sorry.
To Dramala Construction, and a deductive change order in the amount of $2,006,000, or what is that?
Go Bryan High.
$617.
$2,006,217 as presented.
It's not easy.
He's not used to dealing with such small numbers.
I second.
Well, it-
Not thank you.
It is microscopic. Maybe
It
you
is.
need to borrow my reading glasses.
I second.
All right. Motion was made by Mr. Bryan and seconded by Mr. Stennis. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's unanimous. Good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we next have this discussion and consider approval of over 50,000 for the purchase of buses. And I believe Mr. Fribble is going to help us out again, and maybe Pat Corbett, and maybe Bryant Washington. We got all three of y'all.
Afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
I have been with Bryan ISD now for 45, 47, others can say years, I say days.
But you're still here, sir, and we appreciate it.
I'm loving it. I am loving it. Part of the challenge that we have in transportation is we now have enough drivers, but we don't have enough buses. And so that's a somewhat good challenge to have. So we're asking for 3 new buses. They will go directly to routes to help with the overcrowding of school buses. And this would also help us cut time on routes. So this will allow us to get to schools on time in the AM and the PM routes.
Mr. Washington, may I ask, how long has it been since you've had full drivers, or Mr. Corbett? I know you just got here, sir, but it's...
I've been asking historically, I haven't heard, I've asked people that's been there for about 9 years, 10 years, and they have not seen it this way.
Yeah, he's not going to toot his own horn. We haven't seen it. Mr. Corbett, we obviously transitioned. He's moved from our finance department and really started overseeing a lot of things over there, paying close attention to transportation. And then we were able to post a position, and we hired Mr. Washington. And between the two of them and Claudel Lipscomb as well, we've just seen tremendous momentum. And so really for the first time that we can remember, we had more drivers than we had buses. And it was pretty remarkable for that to take place. And that's, I think, a lot of, to Mr. Corbett, Mr. Lipscomb, and then Mr. Washington as well, bringing them on board, training them, getting them done really quickly, and really creating a culture where they want to work. And we're very, very appreciative of that. In fact, I got a text today from SFA. Last bus cleared out at 4:45.
Wow.
That was better than we did all of last year, if I'm honest. Wow. And so congratulations to all of our drivers, everyone working out in transportation. So I didn't mean to step up, but we went over last week, and I said, I've never had a moment where we had enough drivers. It's the first time ever in history.
Well, I haven't gotten any calls from any bus driver. I've been kind of bored because I was getting a lot last year, the last couple of years, and it's been absolutely quiet. So y'all are doing something right, and it is greatly appreciated.
Just one question I have. Is there any salvaging or trade-in value or anything to the 3 existing buses that we're replacing, or do they end up sitting out on driving ranges as target practices?
So
we're obligated to auction them off.
Okay.
And so we'll be doing that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So how long will it take to get those new buses in? About how long, what's the turnaround time?
As soon as you approve it, the buses are on the lot, ready to be done.
Oh, wow.
Oh, y'all already ordered them, just waiting on us.
No, they're ready.
Just checking.
She's trying to catch y'all.
Not ordered them. No.
We have confirmed they're on the lot, waiting for approval.
Not our lot.
We took the liberty.
The car lot, the bus lot.
Okay, the bus lot, okay.
You might mention
For
that
sale bus
they're on a
lot,
buy
not
board,
our
so we already have the discount. We don't have to go out for bid for them.
Right.
So we have a partnership with the buy board, and we're able to get them at a discounted rate. And it is a miracle that they're on the lot, because
And
usually
they coincidentally already had Bryan ISD, is that?
once you all approve, I'm going to send a text. So,
Well,
checking,
Mr.
Mr.
Stasny, then if I may, I would like to move approval of the purchase of 3 77-passenger buses from Longhorn Bus Sales, I don't like that name, in the amount of $459,051 to be funded by the Internal Transportation Service Fund as presented.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Gonzalez, seconded by Ms. Benford. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It's unanimous. These are air conditioned, right? Because when I went to
Too late now.
When I went to school, I didn't have any air conditioning, all right? Even when we went on trips, so I'm just saying.
That's right.
That's good. All right, let's see. Next, we have discussion and consideration of an order calling November 4th, 2025 bond election to be held in the Bryan Independent School District, making provision for the conduct of said election and resolving other matters incident and related thereto. And we have Dr. Merrill and Mr. Friddle and Bobby Griffin again. I believe are all going to perhaps join in on this one.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to come back. We've been in the boardroom, I guess, and I can't even remember how many times, 4, 5, 6, a lot. Yes, Ms. Benford, a lot. And we're back in again tonight. Obviously, we've closing out 2020 with a few projects left that we're working on. But again, we're knew that when we came together in 2020 or 2019 and we went to the election, we knew that that one was going to take us 4 or 5 years, which obviously 2019 plus 4 or 5 years is 2025, which is why we're back in the boardroom asking for consideration. And so you know that we put a committee together. We've been working for over 6 months. I appreciate Mr. Tarver's words and him coming in. Thank you for doing that. We've met over 10 times. They've looked at all type of information. And I've asked Mr. Mervish to come. He presented, I think, a couple weeks ago with us. He served on the committee. He serves on all different committees. He's obviously a citizen. And so we asked him just to come and kind of kick us off and just start a little bit. And so thank you for coming today.
Did he win something the other night?
He did.
Or I heard a rumor.
It was the first time in 25 years
Well, you heard it.
winning a raffle. So, thank you all. I will say I have one senior left in Bryan ISD. So all of this that's going to happen that I am going to be knocking on doors for and telling people to vote for, my kids aren't going to see any of this. But it is important for all of the kids that are coming up that they have a quality school to go to. And the majority of what we're looking at is we've got air conditioners that are end of life. We've got roofs that are at end of life. If we want to have a bad name in the city of Bryan, send our kids to schools with no air conditioners. If we want to have a bad name in the city of Bryan, it's, hey, we could have spent a couple $1 million fixing a roof and we didn't, and now we've got a $20 million problem in one of our elementary schools because we weren't proactive. What I want to make sure that you all know and that everybody in the community knows is that the taxpayer was always in the room in every meeting that we had. We were balancing the needs of our kids of today, the needs of the kids that haven't even started elementary school yet, with the taxpayer, and that everything has gone up and that people are financially strapped. But again, we can fix something now by replacing a roof for a few $1 million, and you've got to do that at multiple schools, or we can come back in a couple of years and say, hey, we've got an $80 million problem. So those were things that we were looking at, was the have-tos. There are also things that we're needing to look at that's just making kids feel good about participating in extracurricular activities. Hey, I want to join the band. Oh, sorry, here's a 15-year-old band uniform that's tattered up. Hey, softball team, you have to scotch tape the numbers back onto your jerseys. Our kids who are in extracurriculars have a 97% attendance rate, and we want to make sure that they want to be in those extracurricular activities. So those were the things that we were considering as well. The other thing that we were considering as well, when we look at things like making upgrades to athletics, is it is the front door for our town. I have been spending 7 years of high school going to different football stadiums to watch my girls do Cheyennes. We've been going to gyms to do competitions. What I can tell you about all those cities is I know what their football stadium looks like. I know what their gym looks like. And that's the decision I'm making about what the quality of the rest of their schools look like and the rest of their town. There is no telling how many businesses we have not been able to bring into Bryan because they won't even come to Merrill Green Stadium for a playoff game because it is dilapidated. in their words. They're not even going to consider it. Well, how many business owners didn't get the chance to see how great our community is because we couldn't have that playoff game? How many people come in from Temple or Coppers Cove or when we were in district in Houston that said, I'm not expanding to Bryan because I don't want people to have to go to that school. And the only thing they saw was a football stadium. So when people are going to say, hey, we don't need to put money into athletics, it's the front door of our community. And there's millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, not to mention what all we have for our kids, that we've got kids at Rudder who don't even have a locker room. We've got softball and things that don't have places to go to. We have the only grass fields left in the not just in the district, but in the Brazos Valley that don't have AstroTurf for their fields. We are not providing them the things. If we're going to be children first and having the best for our kids, we're not giving that to them. So, as I said, my daughter is a senior this year, but I am going to be knocking on doors. The money that is being asked for is for things that are needed. And if this bond doesn't pass, the citizens can count in a couple years, we're going to be asking for 2 or 3 or 4 times more for the damage that's going to happen to the infrastructure here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
You know, we started the committee and it was a process, and I appreciate Mr. Mervish and everyone bringing the opinions, their thoughts, and their hard work to the committee each and every week. We met for consecutive weeks. We hit them with a ton of information, some of which we'll discuss tonight. Most of everything you've been provided, it's on the website as well. Full transparency in everything that we do, which is, again, an example of why we came in from 2020 and closeouts and everything. So when you look at what we're talking about, this is the meeting schedule that we had. Again, we sent them home with all types of information. This bond really became about, as Mr. Mervish said, really involvement. When you think about it, almost 60% of our kids are involved in athletics. It's the secondary level. 70% are involved in fine arts, and almost 80% are involved in CTEs. So when you look at them, they're all involved in what you're going to see in the recommendations. That truly became what the 2025 bond became about, and we're very excited to share the information. Again, we made data-informed decisions, as Mr. Mervish said. We looked at the conditions of the facilities. We had our experts that we hired that came in and talked about our facilities, gave us priority maintenance, lifespan. Mr. Griffin, as well, brought his expertise to the committee, stood up and presented time and time and again, obviously, we've brought that information to you. The age of the equipment and replacement cycles was a conversation as well. And then our current projected student enrollment was a demographer that you approved, and they conducted that demography study that we looked at. We overlaid all of that information, and what started out simply as strategic planning, about 6 meetings in, became bond steering. It became a very formal process. We met in this room. It was full of people. We were talking about all of that data decision-making, and it was really just strategic planning. And at some point, the committee just kept saying, hey, what are we just going to plan? Or are we actually going to do something? And that became, honestly, a formal moment where we said, look, we would like to transition from strategic planning to bond steering. And so the language changed at that point. We knew that at some point we would bring a recommendation. We met all the way through May, and then we picked back up in June, and then July. And again, we've presented multiple times in the boardroom. And so it was a unanimous decision using the information. They said, absolutely, we would want to go from strategic planning to bond steering. And they looked at all of the factors that were considered in that. We've shared this as well, our demographer report. And again, it's really amazing how, perfect they get within 1% or less of what the enrollment's going to be with 24, 25. They predicted it. And when you look at the projections, you'll see that cone where they kind of give us a range of what it's going to look like all the way out to 2034. And again, we engage with them every year. We don't do a full demographer study every year, but they do geocode our students. And then from time to time, depending on what we're seeing in the community, we could obviously authorize, or you could authorize that again. And we get that information to look at it, to make sure that we're understanding where growth patterns are happening and what we need to do to campuses, and if we need to adjust any of the boundaries or anything along those lines. But again, the information is incredibly accurate, and it's been from year to year, and we appreciate them as partners. The recommendation from the committee ended up being $397 million in three different propositions, and we're going to go through those three different propositions. I can tell you this, as Mr. Mervish said, the taxpayer were always at the forefront in the mind of our citizens. We had over $800 million worth of kind of needs, if you would, and we whittled that down, obviously, to $397 million, and we don't take that lightly. That is a huge number. We understand that. We also looked at the tax implications of $397 million, and we appreciate and will present on that the board's ongoing decision for really many years to put us in a financial situation, an unbelievable financial situation that would allow us to go out for $397 million. With Proposition A, you'll see the major categories there. This is not an exhaustive list, but we do have safety and security cameras, immediate priority maintenance needs for all campuses. There isn't a campus in this district that will not be touched by this bond. Again, we appreciate that. We look at a complete rebuild of Bryan Collegiate High School. We looked at the facility condition index, which gives us a good number of whether or not we should repair it or whether or not we should build another one. That number was so high that the committee, I mean, they kept asking, like, hey, are we really about to spend this much money and all we're going to do is sort of repair anything? You won't be able to see any difference? Or are we going to spend a little more money and get a complete brand new Bryan Collegiate? And so that became, honestly, a large conversation that at the beginning of it really wasn't kind of on, it was on the radar, but not as heavily as it has become now. We appreciate that conversation. We're very proud of Bryan Collegiate. It is the highest rated high school in the Brazos Valley. And again, so many of those kids are first generation college kids, and I think I reported out over 52 hours is the average when those students graduate. So we're incredibly proud of it. Transportation, you've heard today, again, just keeping up with replacement cycles. There's ag trucks as well as other district vehicles like the white fleet or SUVs. The Rudder High School has a new competition gym, and I'd like to point that out that it's in Prop A. It's not in Prop B. Prop B is athletics. It's in Prop A because traditionally with a 5A high school, you would have 3 gyms, and when you would build a high school with 3 gyms, that would be included in it, and it's a classroom, to be completely honest with you. That's where PE is going to go. That's going to be used on a daily basis, just in the regular scope of a school day. Yes, we'll be playing games in there, but it's going to be available to all students in just a general education setting. And with that, we would expand the locker room. Again, I mentioned those numbers at the beginning, that high percentage of students participating in athletics. We're out of space in locker rooms. We need additional locker rooms not only at Rudder, but at Bryan High. We've gone about that differently. The committee looked at it with Mr. Rush's guidance as well as the campus, and we looked to make sure that we did that as the campus and as those individuals, educators would want. Dance hall renovation, both programs at Bryan and Rudder are growing, and we need to make sure that we have space for them. A new band hall, and by creating a new band hall, we create a space for our mariachis, which is incredible because we've got an amazing program both at Bryan and Rudder and the middle schools. A cosmetology and barbering lab, CTE, again, providing space. We're going to take those portables that are currently at Rudder, and we're going to move them to either MC Harris or the CTEC, and we're going to reuse those spaces to expand that program for both groups of students. Bryan High School, the new auditorium. I don't know of a 6A high school in the state of Texas that does not have an auditorium where they could take at least one class in there. So we're very excited about that again, and that is under Proposition A. CTE renovation, if you've not been, it is the original part of Bryan High School. So those labs are, in so many cases, original. We have done some upgrades to various spaces. Those are not things that we are going to go back and undo, but we do have areas that have never been updated, and so we definitely want to do that. And we looked very, very closely at that. In fact, I've presented that to the board a few months ago. Kitchen and cafeteria expansion, the Bryan High in general could accept more students, but it couldn't with the cafeteria and the kitchen. That was limited, and that really is determining the overall enrollment at Bryan High School. So by increasing those, we would obviously increase the enrollment if we ever needed to at Bryan High School. And then fine arts spaces as well. So we're very thankful for that. Again, fine arts at Bryan High and Rudder, new band trailers. Rudder doesn't currently have a band trailer like Bryan High School, and Bryan High School's is very, very old and unsafe. And you'll see that is a consistent theme that Mr. Mervish talked on, that we do believe when you look at it, there's a lot of immediate or priority maintenance needs. In fact, over $135 million of the $325 in Prop A is just priority maintenance issues. Prop B is athletics, 67 million. It's roughly 17% of the overall request, so a relatively small number, a big number in general, but the overall percentage of the request is 17%. And a lot of items included in this. Bryan and Rudder High School, synthetic turf, again, Mr. Mervis mentioned, we are one of the only schools in the Brazos Valley that have that. That really prevents our kids from getting on the field in all of the times that they need to. In fact, we've shared that out, that there was a large percentage of the days that we just weren't able to be on the fields because it was wet, it didn't drain properly, and we couldn't get out there to practice, and our kids were at a deficit. Batting cage covers, resurfacing of track at both those schools, and then replacing scoreboards. At Bryan High, we do have a concession stand replacement for baseball and softball. Again, those are original. We do need to go in and look at those. We need to rebuild the field house at the Merrill Green Stadium. That is a district use facility, primarily used by Bryan High. It is used on game day by Rudder and obviously visiting teams. And a lot of original spaces in there. Again, we've outgrown that. And it's served us incredibly well, but it's time for us to, the recommendation was from the committee to obviously tear that down and rebuild it up. Rudder High School, new synthetic turf on football and soccer. This is just part of the replacement cycle. And then locker room expansions as well there at Rudder. SFA and Davila Middle School, new synthetic football, multi-purpose turf. Again, part of the replacement cycle, except at Davila, they currently don't have that. If you're familiar at all with their facility, they have one field. They desperately need, like SFA, something they can get on daily just because of the wear and tear on the field. And then obviously resurfacing the track and replacing the scoreboards. Proposition C is 1%. It is a huge item though, and obviously you vote individually on each one of these three items. That is something that the legislature has done. They really clearly define what goes in each one. We do refer to bond council. They do make recommendations. But this will ensure that all-in-one interactive classroom digital displays will be district-wide. And this is one of those items you're like, man, what is this? It used to be a chalkboard, then it was a whiteboard, and then it was like a smart board, and now we got an all-in-one interactive classroom digital display. And believe it or not, you can stick a kindergartner up in a class and they start manipulating the board, and it is crazy to watch. It's really cool to see them just integrate this into what they do on a daily basis. So again, this would take things district-wide. All right, I'll let Ms. Friddle come up.
Thank you. All right, our famous buckets. We started with cups and we've upgraded to buckets. We will never pass up an opportunity to explain the difference between the M&O and the INS portions of the tax rate. So if you are joining our conversation for the first time, please know that the school district's total tax rate is broken out into two main pieces. The first part being the maintenance and operations. The M&O portion of the M&O portion funds the district's day-to-day needs. This is where the salaries come from, classroom supplies, utilities, transportation, and the general cost of running the day-to-day operations of the school. Revenue from the M&O comes from local property taxes combined with state aid, and the amount of state funding the district receives is heavily influenced by student enrollment and average daily attendance. The second portion of our tax rate is referred to as the interest and sinking or the debt service fund. The INS portion, on the other hand, is dedicated solely to repaying the district's debt on voter-approved bonds. These funds cover the principal and interest on bonds issued for major projects like new schools, renovations, buses, technology upgrades. Unlike the M&O fund, the INS revenue comes almost entirely from local property taxes, and the tax rate is set at the level needed to cover our annual debt payments. INS is not tied to student attendance and therefore cannot be used for operating expenses such as salaries and benefits. It is legally restricted to debt repayment. And on a final note, for those wondering why the M&O fund can't be used to pay long-term capital projects along the way, the truth is the M&O fund is already at full capacity, covering the day-to-day costs of running a school district. It is simply not realistic. Especially with the unpredictable state funding and rising expenses, the district cannot depend on the state to provide consistent support. I'd like to remind everybody that the ability to issue at $300 million in bond sales is no accident. Since 2008, the district has issued over $356 million in bond with a declining tax rate. We'll see that in the next slide. By carefully managing the tax rate and taking advantage of opportunities, the district has saved nearly $25 million by avoiding interest by paying off debt early and refinancing. Mr. Gonzalez, to address the point that you've made in previous meetings, even if we chose not to issue the bonds, it has been the district's philosophy, with board approval of course, to keep our tax rate the same and pay off existing debt. To say the least, what is illustrated here is a remarkable accomplishment and a clear reflection of responsible debt management over the years. Our financial advisors are sitting here with us today, and I would just like to recognize them. Thank you. Thank you for your trust, and thank you for keeping our best interest in mind.
Ms. Ford, I'd just like to remind everyone, all of this hard work you're showing, you saved $118,000 here, $247,000. This is in addition to making our payments, our regular payments. So this is simply, I've had people ask me, well, that's all that you save? That's not a whole lot. What do you do with all the money? I'm like, no. This is on top of our dedicated debt service already. This is a bonus, which is, again, like I've mentioned, why we are in a position, thanks to previous boards and to you guys, in the position to be able to borrow almost $400 million without a tax increase. So I know it's not as impressive sometimes because everything y'all do behind the scenes is amazing. I just want to say thanks again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, since 2008, the district has issued over $356 million in bonds with a declining tax rate. Despite the reduced tax rate, the district remains in a strong financial position by refinancing and making principal payments on its existing debt. This approach has created the capacity to issue $397 million in new bonds without raising the INS portion of the tax rate. Some districts adjust their tax rates up and down, but we have kept ours stable. This allows us to consistently pay down principal debt faster, which directly contributes to the strong debt capacity we have today. This practice will continue to guide our approach to manage debt responsibly. If the bond election moves forward, it will be based on several assumptions, all designed to ensure that we take a cautious and responsible approach. The assumptions are as follows. The district's taxable valuation grows 3% per year for the next 4 years and no growth thereafter. This is very conservative because we know that the district will realize some growth every year. The district continues to maintain the current rate of 27 cents, the INS tax rate of 27 cents. In 2026, a $14.5 million prepayment or defeasance will be required. This is already in the budget and accounted for. We are also assuming current interest rates as of August, plus a 35 basis point cushion, and assumes a 10% discount of the additional state aid for homestead exemption. What do all these fancy words mean? This simply means we have some wiggle room. And lastly, this assumes the bonds will be paid off over 25 years, at least the ones tied to construction and renovations. Technology and buses will be adjusted for the lifespan of the assets. They will not be amortized over 25 years. So based on those assumptions, our financial advisors have modeled the district's bond at the current INS tax rate of 27 cents, with issuances spread over the next several years. To be clear, there will be one bond election to authorize $397 million, which will then be issued in 3 separate sales as outlined here. You might wonder, why do bond sales happen in August? It's because the district receives certified values at the end of July, which makes it easier and safer to plan using the most accurate and up-to-date numbers. And now we come to our favorite portion of the presentation, the ballot language. All along, we've promised our community that we can issue $397 million in bonds without raising the tax rate, and that remains true. However, the state requires every school district to put the phrase, This is a property tax increase on the ballot. In all caps, they are very specific. And Mr. Stasny, to your point, the phrase itself is true at its core, because if the district chose not to issue the bonds, we would be required to lower our tax rate. But as we've stated before, even if we chose not to issue the bonds, it has been the district's philosophy to keep a stable tax rate and pay off our existing debt. This practice is called defeasing debt. So staff and community members, please understand that this will be the ballot language. Now that we are aware of what it will say, we also know what it truly means. Thank you.
Well, since you mentioned my name, I want to go ahead and add to that and just say that the average person will still probably be confused because they're going to think that if their value doesn't go up, that somehow or another, or even though their value doesn't go up, their taxes are still going to, the amount they pay is going to go up, which is not true because the tax rate's not going up. So it is confusing. It's just obviously, as you said, kind of stretches out. Eventually you don't do any bonds, it's going to go down to zero at some point because you paid everything off. So it is very confusing. It's misleading. It needs to be a much better informative statement instead of, 5-6 words there that would confuse the average person. So anyway, I just wanted to add that.
I'm sorry, may I ask, I was going to ask a quick question, please. I just want, if we move forward with the bond, I just want to kind of let everybody know and put them at ease that we still have room to figure out what the best use, just because we said we're going to build, for instance, collegiate. If we found a better alternative, if we decided all of a sudden, hey, let's move them into the admin building and move admin somewhere else, we would have the flex, not that drastic necessarily, but we do have the flexibility as long as our goal is met. And I know we don't want to let the taxpayers down, but we do have flexibility. If we come up with better ideas, better use of our spaces that we have, we are able to. Do we have the flexibility to change, is what I'm trying to ask.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, thank you.
We also have our financial advisors here. We appreciate y'all driving in. We didn't know if you had any questions for them. We know this is, Mr. Stasny pointed out, a very confusing thing. The ballot language is not the only thing that's confusing. There's obviously a ton of information, and I can tell you with our bond steering committee, this conversation, I think, came 4 or 5 times. It just kept circling back because they really wanted to understand it. Again, as Mr. Mervish said, the taxpayer was in the room the entire time, and they really took great consideration and care as they made decisions to include and what to include in this these referendums.
Dr. Merrill, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
How common is it in this day and age for a school district to be able to go out and borrow up to $397 million without an effective tax rate increase to the
So that very question was asked the day they came, and I'll let them answer that question.
Norma was ready.
Yeah.
I could say that it is absolutely not common at all, but I know that the staff in the community has heard me say it many times. I would like for you to hear directly from the mouth of our financial advisors.
Yeah, Stephen Adams, and it goes back to 2008. First of all, there's very, very few districts that can do this. Many of them are up against the 50-cent test. And when you're up against the 50-cent test, you have to stretch your bonds out. And when you do that, the percentage of your tax dollars over time that pays interest versus principal goes up dramatically. So what we've been able to do here, I mean, it's been fortunate. The district's been growing. It's not been up against the 50-cent test. And the boards have paid off debt. That $25 million that we saved really underestimates the fact that if we hadn't been doing that, we would have had to stretch out our issuances even more, and you would end up paying even more of your INS dollars to interest like these other districts are doing. And once you get in that boat, you can't turn it around. So it's very uncommon. I mean, it was a good situation here. We started in 2008, and the boards since then have kept doing this, and it's really worked out well, but it is very uncommon.
Sure. Yeah, I think that it just speaks to the fiscal responsibility that this board has had over the years. to put us in this position to where, we're addressing the needs of the district with no effective tax rate to the citizens. And so I think it's a huge pat on the back to previous board members that have been fiscally responsible over the years to put us in this type of position.
Any other questions? Okay, like to go over the voting information just so you have the full perspective before obviously we ask for action. But we've got early voting dates and times, all of the information there, where they're going to go. If indeed the board does call for the election tonight, we then become, you've heard the road show, obviously Ms. Friddle, Mr. Stiers talked about the benefits roadshow. We're going to try to tag team that and go out at the same time. And then again, if you call for it, we would obviously love to present anytime we possibly can in front of any group of citizens. And then it becomes just about the facts. And so just as Ms. Carabon and myself will go out, we would be talking very succinctly about the information and just simply about the facts and nothing more than that. And so again, factually, this is all of the information as it relates to voting. Again, we have a small population, but we do have a population in Robertson County that can cast their vote as well. And then, again, the calendar that shows sort of what that looks like. And then a fact sheet that if, again, you do call for the election, we would obviously make this available and then go around putting out the information not only for the campus, but for the district and what that would look like specifically. So really everyone has the necessary information to know what they're voting for. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to put the committee together. Mr. Mervish, I'd turn it to you. Would you like to say anything final conclusion, Mr. Griffin? Anything?
I just say for the community, everything that's been done is out in the open. You can go directly to the BISD website and you can find every single piece of information that was used to make these decisions, and I encourage people to go check it all out.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions for us? Man, a few words.
I have
Okay.
something, as our different news media have begun sharing pieces of this, that we're working on this tonight, it's just interesting to see public reaction. One was a misstatement saying that we are intending to purchase land. Can you address that?
I can, yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. Obviously, in the order, the call for election, our bond council included that. We do not, it was not a recommendation. It's not been in any of the presentations that we've made. There really isn't a recommendation for land. Our bond council put that in there simply because sometimes you may need an easement or a right-of-way, a small piece of something. And they wanted to leave us with the flexibility of having that. But as we've presented and as we shared, you've never once seen anything related to land. And so we do not have any acreage that's proposed. It was not a discussion ever in our bond steering. Even when we looked at Bryan Collegiate, we were looking at land that we already own. It was never a consideration to buy additional acreage. He wanted to make sure that we had the flexibility of a right-of-way or an easement, and so that's where that language came from.
My other question pertains to some suggestions by community members that we need to seek donations from businesses to cover things like the Prop B on athletics. I know we have wonderful partnerships with business members and community members who do provide donations for like fireworks or T-shirts or those kind of things.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of anything we've done recently where we did request proposals, and did we receive any?
We did go out for naming rights of the stadium for not only the turf, but also looking for the scoreboard and those types of things, and we did not get one. Now, we have plans of going back out, kind of repackaging and hopefully getting a donor, but we weren't able to get one. And so I appreciate that point very much. But we do have wonderful donors. I mean, just last Saturday night, we had a community outpouring of support But in this case, you're talking, millions of dollars. It's not something that, we just can readily go out and request. And so we've done that, and we just weren't successful. In fact, if it was, we would obviously do it for everything, because we would collect millions of dollars. It's just not out there.
Well, I can remember when my son was on the baseball team, there was an effort by some members to try to get like the batting
Yes, ma'am.
cages covered and those kind. It's just really difficult
It is.
to rely on members of our community and our businesses to
It
fund
is.
those pieces. And I was only able to attend, I think, one or two
Yes, ma'am.
of these meetings, but based on all the things I have seen, I think there were complaints early on that this committee was too large. And so I think that was an effort to make sure that it did have a broad base
Yes,
and was well represented. So I would really encourage any community member, as Mr. Mervish mentioned, transparency. It's all out there on the website. If you just do a search for Bryan ISD Bond 2025, it'll be the first thing that pops up. So please review it and then reach out if you have questions.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. You've not seen the website. If you call for it, it'll eventually go live. And in there is a Google form that you can complete, and you'll get a phone call from me or someone with Bryan ISD. They'll be happy to provide you the information or come and sit down and have a conversation. And so please, that document will be there, and we'll be responding to it up until the election to make sure that you have all the necessary information that you need to make a educated decision.
Dr. Marilyn, I would like to just say, again, thank y'all for showing us the refunds that we got on the other ones. And to know that, like I mentioned earlier, I had a concern about the bond. That's a lot of money, and I'm not ever for borrowing if we don't need it. And after speaking to y'all and understanding that there really is not another way to make us competitive, our students, our teachers, our parents, all of us deserve to have the best that we can afford. And again, I'd like to reiterate, I know Mr. Mervish, y'all said it, that and I've said this before, but we didn't just say, hey, we need to find $397 million. That's how much we can do without raising the taxes. You've told us repeatedly that we picked the most important items, the most pressing items, and had to bring it down to, and I know that's an astronomical number, but we serve a lot of students, we have a lot of buildings, and we haven't been able to do a lot of the maintenance that we need to do. And then I know, speaking to y'all, that we will treat this money with the utmost respect. It will not be, I don't want it to be wasted, and I feel very, very confident that we can do a good job making sure that we get our value out of every single dollar, because our taxpayers, our students, our teachers, all of us deserve it.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So are we ready for a motion?
Come on, Joe.
I think so.
I move to adopt an order calling a bond election to be held by the Bryan Independent School District on November 4th, 2025, making provision for the conduct of the election and resolving other matters incident and related thereto.
Second. Motion made by Ms. Walter, and I think I heard Ms. Benford the loudest, so I guess because she's sitting right beside me, so. So we have motion and second, or any further discussion? This is kind of a big emotion, so anything else? Speak now or forever hold your peace. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's unanimous. All right. The work has just begun for a lot of folks.
That was the easy part.
I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The board will now convene in closed session to discuss the following items as allowed by the Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.074, .0821, and .181. No voting will take place in closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussion in closed session will occur after the board reconvenes in the open meeting, and the time is now 7:33. Board reconvened in open session at 9:03 PM. No action was taken in closed session. We will now discuss and consider approval over $50,000 for the purchase of mandated safety equipment. Rich Himmel, well, I guess do we have any discussion that we need to have on this? Or I guess we did discuss it as we're allowed to in closed session. So I'll just, I guess, entertain a motion unless we.
Mr. Stasny, I move approval of the purchase for the mandated safety equipment in the amount of $191,976 with shipping from Coolview as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Gonzalez and seconded by Ms. Benford. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? It passes unanimously. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 9:05.
Poor Rich.